DepEd Order 8 Series of 2015, Weight Components for Grade 1 to 10. DepEd Order Number 8 Series of 2015 explains the classroom assessment system used in grades 1 to 10. The grading system is divided into three major components: the written works, performance task, and quarterly assessment. For languages, AP and ESP subject, the weights are written works 30%, performance task 50%, and 20% for the quarterly assessment. For science and math, 40% in written works, 40% in performance task, and 20% for the quarterly assessment. Lastly, for the MAPE, EPP, and TLE, written work is 20%, performance task is 60%, and quarterly assessment is 20%. This means that students are evaluated not only through exams but also through activities, projects, performances, and practical applications of learning. Rapid Order 8 Series of 2015 Policy on Students' Absences and Tardiness. According to Rapid Order Number 8 Series of 2015, attendance is very important in school. A learner who is absent for more than 20% of the required class periods during the school year or semester may receive a failing grade and may not earn credits for the subject. However, the school head may excuse or exempt a learner who exceeded the 20% limit if the reasons are considered valid and acceptable by the school. The policy also states that habitual tardiness is discouraged, especially during the first period in the morning and afternoon classes. In addition, teachers are required to inform parents or guardians if a learner has incurred 5 consecutive days of tardiness. These policies help promote discipline, responsibility, and regular attendance among learners.
Hello everyone, this is Sarah Handayan. I will discuss the policy and collection of contributions in the PTA. This policy explains how parent-to-teacher associations are allowed to collect funds and how these funds are properly used for the benefit of the school and the students. First, a duly recognized PTA may collect voluntary financial contributions from its members and even from outside sources. This is done to help the PTA have enough funds to sustain its operations. These funds are used to support programs and projects that are for the benefit of the students and the school where it operates. In addition to that, PTA programs and projects should always be aligned with the School Improvement Plan or SIP. This means that all activities should support the goals and, and the needs of the school. The main purpose of these contributions is to improve school services and help students. Moving forward, there are important guidelines in collecting these contributions. First, the amount should be reasonable and it will be determined by the PTA Board of Directors. Second, contributions are collected in a per parent-member basis, regardless of how many children they have in school. Third, no PTA collection should be done during the enrollment period. And lastly, no teacher or school personnel should be involved in the collection process. And with that, I have discussed the purpose, use, and guidelines of the PTA collection policy. Now, I will turn you over to my co-reporter who will discuss the prohibitions and concluding points of this policy. Goodbye everyone. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the continuation of the policy on collections of contributions. There's a lot of things to know in terms of this topic. Now, let's dig deeper for the important aspect on this topic. We all know that in Parent Teachers Association, there is a lot of prohibitions to make. Therefore, the PTA is strictly prohibited from the following activities. In terms of business operations, operating a canteen or a school supply store or being a concessionaire inside or near the classroom premises are truly prohibited. This ensures that the PTA focuses on support rules and avoids engaging in profit-making business ventures within the school. In addition to that, in terms of selling schemes, selling insurance or pre-needs plans or any similar activities to students and parents are truly prohibited. This prevents commercial solicitations and protect families from pressure to buy products or services. In terms of compensation, the officers and the member of the board of directors are prohibited from receiving salaries, honoraria, and emoluments, or any form of compensation from PTA funds. Therefore, a PTA service is a voluntary. No member should profit financially from the funds collected. Now, let's move on to management and conduct. Interfering in the academic and administrative management of the school and the Department of Education is truly prohibited. The PTA must respect the authority and independence of school officials in running school operations and academics. Engaging in partisan political activity within school premises is truly prohibited. Schools must remain neutral grounds. Political activities are not allowed to maintain a peaceful learning environment. Therefore, I conclude that all of the mentioned PTA policy in terms of collection of contribution are all true. Failure to conduct this policy of collection of contribution may lead to penalties. And that's all. This is Bea E. Olasiman. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. Today, I'll be discussing the importance of school policies. School policies are very important because they help guide the actions and decisions of everyone in the school community. As shown in the first slide, schools have their own vision and mission, what they want to achieve, and how they plan to do it. For these goals to happen, policies must be in place. When everyone follows these policies, it ensures order, fairness, and unity among teachers, students, and staff. And the second slide, it says that if all members of the school community were perfect, there would be no need for policies. But in reality, people make mistakes and situations are not always ideal. That's why policies are needed. These serve as rules and reminders to help maintain discipline and harmony. They guide us on what is right and what is expected from each member of the school. The last slide explains why the Department of Education issues strict policies and guidelines, even for organizations like PTAs. These policies are made to protect everyone and to make sure that all actions are transparent and fair. They help to prevent misunderstandings, misuse of funds, and other problems that may affect the school reputation, and trust. And that's all for my part. For the continuation, Miss Natalie Bernales will tackle this. Thank you.
Continuation of importance of policies, even engaging in any partisan political activity within school premises is written as one prohibited activity. Schools are expected to remain neutral environments focused on education. Allowing political activities may create bias, conflict, or influence among students. Such activities are restricted to maintain a safe and balanced learning environment. There must be a history of that, perhaps. Malversation of funds and other forms of abuse happened in the past. Many school policies are created as a response to past issues or problems. These rules are meant to prevent the repetition of misconduct such as misuse of funds or abuse of authority. And to ensure accountability within the institutions, schools now require proper documentation and approval of expenses because funds were misused in the past. Schools' policy on the grading system is important for everyone concerned to know how grades are computed. A clear grading system allows students, parents, and teachers to understand how final grades are determined. It provides transparency and helps students become more aware of their performance and responsibilities. One example I can think of is every beginning of term, the grading system is explained, including how much quizzes, exams, and projects contribute to the final grade. Both students and parents know how grades are derived objectively. When the grading system is transparent, students and parents can see clearly that grades are based on performance and not influenced by bias. Percentage weights for each component are clear. Each component of assessment, such as quizzes, exams, and projects, is assigned a specific percentage. This helps students understand which tasks have greater importance and allows them to manage their efforts accordingly. And I know each one of you are familiar with this. Teachers are guided in their assessment practices. Assessment in the classroom is not done randomly or based on guesswork. It follows specific guidelines such as rubrics, standards, and learning competencies. These serve as a basis for measuring student performance in a fair and consistent manner. Because of these guides, all learners are evaluated using the same criteria, which promotes equality in the classroom. One example of assessment tool is the rubric, in which it is used to grade the students. Policy ensures objective assessment practices. A grading policy ensures that assessment is based on measurable evidence such as test scores, outputs, and performance tasks. It removes personal bias and focuses only on the student's actual performance. This helps maintain fairness, consistency, and credibility in giving grades. Without the grading policy, grading may become highly subjective. In the absence of clear policies, grading can depend on personal opinions, emotions, or preferences. This may result in unfair treatment where some students are favored while others are disadvantaged. Subjective grading weakens the reliability of assessment. Similarly, if there are no policies on student tardiness and absenteeism, students may just come in late or absent. Policies on attendance help regulate student behavior and promote responsibility. Without these rules, students may not value punctuality and regular attendance, which negatively affect their learning and policies on students' tardiness and absenteeism certainly will curb tardiness and absenteeism to ensure learning. When policies are clearly implemented, they encourage students to develop good habits such as being on time and attending classes. These behaviors are essential for effective learning and academic success.
Good day, everyone. Now let's move on to effective policy formulation and implementation in a school partnership. So, why do you think schools implement a policy? So, school create a policies to solve a local problem. Like, for example, if there is a safety issue or a need to improve in school, there they create rules or policy. And what could be the ideal process in making policy? So, ideally, making the policy should be a team effort. The school head or the principal should lead the process. But lead doesn't mean that only the principal alone, because the word lead here means that it is guiding and facilitating the process, like there is an involvement of others to make the process effective. So why is this very important? So it is important to have this effective policy because this includes participative, meaning many people like teachers, students, or even parents and the community members should be involved in making the policy effective. Because remember, two heads are better than one, which means that working together and sharing ideas makes the policy better and effective. And to conclude my part, effective policy formulation in a school community requires leadership, participation, and collaboration to address local issues successfully.
Good day, everyone. Today I will be discussing the continuation of the effective policy formulation and implementation in school community ownership. Besides, participation of school and community develops a sense of ownership of such formulated policy which ensures more effective implementation. So this means if ang school kuno ang community mag-work together to create a policy, mas maka-feel kuno sila nga included sila kay sila man mismo ang nag-create sa maong policy. Dili era gi-impose sa ilaha. Diya kay sila man mismo ang nag-create sa mga policy, mas willing sila nga mo-suporta o mo-cooperate or mo-follow sa maong policy. Diya ang policy, mas mo-effect man ni siya if ang school o ang community mo-cooperate o mo-take responsibility if na may mga consequences o problema sa maong policy. Kay, mo-success naman ang maong policy if ang school o ang community magtinabangay sa maong policy. This is school empowerment in action. Aside from involving the school and community policy formulation, school head must ensure wide dissemination and correct and clear understanding of the policy. So meaning, aside kuno sa school kuno ang community kuno nga nag-work together para makit o policy kuno, ang school head kuno or ang principal kuno dapat kung siya mismo ang mo-share or mo-disseminate sa maong policy para mas masabtan kuno sa mga katawhan like sa parents, students, teachers, or sa community. Dili ra kay dunggan nila sa istorya sa uban, mas maayog sila mismo ang mo-disseminate or mo-share para mas masabtan ug ma-follow sa uban nga mga tao. And then, like for example, like in tahay ang school nag-create og policy about sa kanang naay cleanliness. So lahi ra gajud if ang teacher nag-chat ra siya sa GC or nagsuwat ra siya og kanang ay memo diya gisend sa mga students, kay ang mga students if what to nila nasabtan di po sila maka-follow correctly. But if nasabtan man to sa student, like for example, mas ang teacher mo ay nag-explain or nag-ingon sa mga student, mas masabtan sa mga students o makafollow po sila correctly. And that's it in our topic. I hope you gain something. Thank you.